Cath and this is Made by Cath Craft. Thank you so much for joining me for this video. It's really lovely to have you here watching. And today's video is going to be a bit of a catch up on what I've been up to on the sewing front. And I've got some new makes to share, a couple of other bits too. So yeah, I thought I'd put it all in one video. I hope you're all really well. Today here in the south of England, it's set to be the hottest day of the year to date, which is nice. It's feeling really summery. And I've got on a summer dress that I made quite a while ago. And I made this pattern 3 times now. I think at the time, I went through a phase where I made in 3 summers, one dress in each of those summers. And I haven't made one for a couple of years now. So maybe I should have a little look for some more fabric for a new version because it's such a lovely pattern, although I guess 3 is probably enough, but it's a really nice pattern I'm wearing today. Is this one here. It is the Ariana woven dress pattern by Stylark. I think it's the only Stylark pattern I've tried. I do really love the look of their patterns. I just haven't made another one. One thing I mentioned first of all with Stylark, which you might already know, is their instructions are definitely on the concise side, I guess you'd say. Fairly limited instructions. So I think if you're fairly new to sewing and want to sew patterns that hold your hand through the whole sewing process, Stylark probably isn't the best place to start. But once you've got a few patterns and a bit of sewing experience under your belt, they do make lovely patterns. And yeah, I just love this one. So it's a woven dress pattern for this summery dress, which has a gathered skirt with these optional patch pockets, buttons all the way down the front. And then the bodice is the bit I really love on this pattern. You can actually make just the bodice as a top here, as you can see as well. But it's got this panelled bodice with sweetheart seams down the front, this really pretty little sort of dipped neckline. And then at the back there is a panel of shearing, which means it's really comfy to wear and it kind of fits to your body without feeling tight and restrictive. And I think it makes the whole fit a bit more forgiving as well because there is that stretch element at the back. I'll turn around a little bit so you can see the shearing on this version. Hopefully you can see that okay. It just makes it a really comfy fitted dress to wear, I guess. And it's fun to construct. The bodice is entirely lined. The skirt isn't lined, but you could always add a lining. I didn't need to for this fabric that I made my version I'm wearing today out of. It's a cotton lawn fabric and it's quite a dark colour base to it, so definitely didn't need to line the skirt. But I think lining the bodice adds a bit more structure to it as well, which is quite nice. It kind of helps the shape. In terms of sizing, the Ariana dress is available in sizes 6 to 30 up to hips of 61 inches. There's a really good size range. And yeah, I just love wearing it. So yeah, the version I'm wearing today is this fabric has kind of got little sort of berries on, little purple berries, and a bit of foliage. And I went for little purple buttons to match that I thought matched the little purple berries on the fabric. I don't have a lot of actual purple clothes in my wardrobe, but I always enjoy getting this one out. And I'll pop a picture up so you can see what it looks like on. So yeah, that is what I'm wearing today. But I'll move on now to sharing a few things I've been up to. I think I'll start off with quite a quick little make that I won't linger on too much. But I found some of my old pairs of knickers were getting a bit tired out, so I thought I'd have a look in my jersey fabric scraps. And I always save little jersey fabric scraps because I think they're perfect for making things like knickers. So I had a little look and got a few scraps out and cut out a few new pairs. And I'm looking forward to popping these in my knickers drawer ready to wear. So these are the pairs I made. I think I had black fold over elastic in my stash, so I thought I'd just use that. So I made this pair here. This fabric, they're all cotton jersey. This is quite a cool one, this leopard print. I used this originally to make my mum a Freya top by tailing the buttons, and had a little bit left over to make that pair. I thought they were quite cute. Then a plain navy pair and a couple of plain blue pairs. Yeah, I think I like the black elastic more on these 2 pairs than these ones, maybe, but I thought, well, no one's going to see them. I'm just going to be wearing them. And it was quite a nice quick little project to do when I wanted a little sewing fix, but I didn't want to have to think about anything too hard. And for knickers, I really like this pattern here, which is the Iris Knickers pattern by Tilly and the Buttons. It's just a nice, great pattern that does hold your hand through the knickers sewing process. So a great one to try if you're new to lingerie making. They made it in collaboration with Evie Lalouve, who I think is a lingerie designer or sort of lingerie pattern maker. And yeah, there's loads of different options built in. You can see here from kind of heights of the knickers and also the sort of style of the leg opening. And it takes you through different elastic options as well. I always use fold over elastic. I quite like plain elastic, but if you wanted to add some more fancy lacy elastic, they also take you through how to add that as well. And it has a really good size range, this pattern. It's in their extended Tilly the Button size range from UK 6 up to UK 34. So yeah, I thought I'd share that. I also really like the Megan Nielsen Acacia knickers pattern too. I use that for my daughter, and that one's a free pattern. So yeah, I'd also recommend that one as well. But I've not tried it for myself, only for my daughter, just because I feel like I've got the fit just right on the Iris Knickers pattern, so I don't need to look elsewhere. So that is the first thing I wanted to share. And then the next new make that I've got to share is a skirt that I sewed up in some fabric I think I shared in a video 2 weeks ago on here. So not that long ago, I was really keen to get this fabric cut out and all sewn up so I could wear it this summer and really enjoy it. And the fabric is this one here, so you may well recognise it. It's a lovely viscose challis fabric that I got from Minerva. And yeah, I really like the print on it, and I love the colours in it. It was really reasonably priced as well, so I added it on to my basket when I was buying something else. And I'm really glad I did. It also comes in a silvery colourway too, which is very pretty as well. I'll link it down below. I knew I wanted to make a skirt out of this fabric, but I think I mentioned in my previous video talking about it that I wasn't sure which skirt pattern or what style of skirt to go for. And in the end, I decided to use this pattern here, the Mave skirt pattern by True Bias, which is one of my favourites. I think it might be sort of shooting to the top of my list of favourite skirt patterns. So it's a woven skirt pattern, and it has the normal True Bias size range. There's a 0 to 18 version and a 14 to 30 size range too. And then it's got just loads of different options built into it. But in essence, it's a nice simple skirt with a gathered waist, optional drawstring, optional pockets sewn into the side seams, and you can make it with a number of tiers and different lengths. But for my version, I decided to make, the second time I've made this version, is a hack to make it with a curved hem. And I made a version a couple of years ago, and it's one of my favourite skirts to wear, and I thought I'd really like another version. I thought it'd work really well in this fabric. And I was a little bit tempted to make a sort of long, sort of tiered version, but actually I wasn't sure I had quite enough fabric, and I thought also the tiers might get a bit lost with such a busy print. So yeah, I went for the curved hem hack, and I'll link the curved hem hack down below. It's on the True Bias website. It's a full sort of tutorial with photos. It takes you through how to do it, and it comes together really nicely. So my skirt's a sort of midi length, although it has these side slits at the side where the skirt comes up, so you can see there, and it comes up a little bit higher there. And I went for the optional drawstring, although it's a bit hard to see because it's almost camouflaged against the fabric. And I've got the pockets too, which are quite handy. And it came together really nicely. The only thing I did different from the tutorial on the True Bias website is I use a different method for finishing the hem. Because it's a curved hem, I always worry with, particularly with such a sort of fabric like viscose, that can kind of ripple and stretch a little bit. It's not as stable as, say, a cotton lawn. I do always worry that when you have a curved hem, it might sort of grow and end up looking a bit kind of sort of stretched out, and the finish won't be great, depending on how you hem it. So I found a way that works for me, which I found by having a little research on YouTube. I'll link the YouTube video down below. And I find it always really works, so I like to use that method on the curved hem. I'm sure the method on the True Bias website will work just fine as well, but I just really like the other method. So I used that, and I think it's come out really nicely. I did give it a nice steamy press afterwards, just to make sure it all kind of set in place and didn't sort of, wiggle out and stretch. But yeah, it came together really nicely, and I really love it. I'm really looking forward to wearing it. I'll pop a picture up so you can see what it looks like on, and also one so you can really see that detail at the side where it curves up and back down again. Yeah, it was just really enjoyable to sew it up, and I love it. I'm glad I went for that choice. I was a little bit tempted by a bias cut skirt. I've got one bias cut skirt I made a while ago and I really enjoy wearing that one. I love the feel of the fabric when it's cut on the bias. So I think probably at some point in the future, I will make another bias cut skirt, but not with this fabric. I'll look for something else. So yeah, anyway, I'm really glad to finish that. In terms of sizing, I usually make the size 4 based on my hip measurements. That probably isn't necessarily how I would normally choose a pattern with a gathered skirt, because I think the hips are it's more of a relaxed fit there because there's so much gathering. But the reason I went for the size 4, I think originally, was I quite like the look when the fabric's really gathered in at the top. And when I had a little look, I think on Instagram and things for the fit and everything, I thought actually I'd prefer a little bit extra gathering. So I thought if I'd went for a waist that was actually, it's actually 2 sizes larger than my waist, and the fabric ends up gathering a little bit more then when I put in the right size elastic. And I just quite like that feel and that look of that extra gathering, which is why I've gone for the size 4, and it's worked out fine because you do put the elastic around the waist. Is a bit of a forgiving fit there as well. So yeah, anyway, I'm really pleased to sew that up. I love the fabric, and I think it'll go really well with my other new make that I'll show you in a moment. But yeah, I love that. So yeah, that is my second new make. And then the final new make I've got to share is quite a simple one, really. I decided I wanted to make a very plain, relaxed fit black t-shirt. Just I thought it'd go with lots of things in my wardrobe, including my new skirt. So here it is. I made it in black bamboo jersey that I also got from Minerva. It's a bamboo jersey that is just bamboo and elastane. There's no cotton in it, which I think makes it really lovely and drapey and soft. Yeah, I'm massing a bit of a collection of bamboo t-shirts for summer in kind of neutral colours. I've got navy, white, I've got a red one, which maybe isn't as neutral, but just kind of plain bamboo jersey t-shirts, just because I find I reach them a lot. I love how they keep you covered, but also cool. So yeah, this is my new one. Not the most exciting make ever. And I made it using a bit of a TNT, tried and tested pattern for me, the Solar Tea and Sweater pattern by Paper Cut Patterns. I've got a really old version, so it's got the old name on. But yeah, I've used this pattern loads. Here it is here. It's a relaxed drop shoulder t-shirt or sweatshirt. I have made versions with a little ruffle on the sleeve, which I love, but for this version, I just omitted that because I wanted it to be really simple, a real basic. And I think I make the smallest size that's available in my pattern, which is the extra, extra small. But I think Paper Cut have since changed their size range, and now the size range is more in like actual number sizes, and they also have a Solar Tea curve t-shirt version as well, which goes up to a UK size 34. And I think the extra, extra small on this old pattern is equivalent to the second smallest size on the new version. There's one size smaller on the current kind of size range on the Solar Tea. But yeah, just a nice simple t-shirt. I'll pop a picture up of me wearing this t-shirt and the skirt together. I think they go really nicely. I love the skirt with the vest top too, but for those days when it's a bit cooler or when I do want to keep out of the sun, I think this will be great with the skirt. So yeah, I'm glad I made that up. And yeah, I'll link the fabric and the pattern down below for that one. And for all the other things I've talked about, I don't think I'll be able to link the pants fabric because that is super old for my stash, but I'll link everything wherever I can. And then the next thing I wanted to share is the project I'm working on at the moment. And this one's involving a little bit of thinking and trial and error. So I thought I'd share where I was at with it at the moment. So a while back, you might remember, I tried a new to me pattern company, which is this pattern company here, the Eleonore pull-on jeans by Jali. I have since gone on to make another Jali pattern. I really like their patterns, but this was my first one. This pattern really appealed to me because historically trouser making or some more fitted trouser making is something I've sort of shied away from a little bit. But because this pattern it's kind of like an entry level, I guess, fitted trouser pattern maybe, because you make it in a stretchy fabric. So that means the fit is a bit more forgiving. And it has an elastic waistband, but some lovely features about it also that are a bit like jeans. So yeah, this is the line drawing here. As you can see, it's almost, I guess, a bit like a jegging really. It's got this elastic waistband and it's got a faux fly front and faux little pockets at the front and then proper patch pockets at the back. And it's designed to be quite fitted around the sort of waist and bottom area, but then more of a straight leg. And I'll just mention the sizing briefly as well on this pattern. There are 27 sizes included, and they are for girls as well as women, and they go up to US size 22, which takes you up to 53 inches. So I thought it'd be a nice pattern I could potentially also use for my daughter at some point too. So I made my first version as a bit of a wearable toile. I like the fabric, but I thought let's just make them and see what the fit's like. I did baste along the way a little bit to kind of check it. But yeah, I finished my first pair up a while ago, and this is my first pair here. So I made them in this really nice stretch needle cord fabric that I've got from Guthrie and Garney. I'm not sure if this is still in stock. It was available in a few different colourways. If it is, I'll link it down below. So you can see there the sort of, it's hard to see because I use the same colour stitching, but you can see there the little sort of faux front pocket and the sort of fly zip, and then the patch pockets on the back, and it's got a yoke too. So I made this first pair and I was really pleased with how they came together. And I was quite happy with the fit to start with, but actually then I became a little bit sort of, I started noticing that the fit around the bottom area at the back wasn't quite right. I'll put a picture up so you can see. You can see there, they just don't feel that flattering on that area on me, and there's quite a lot of gathering underneath the bottom too. So I thought actually, great as a first pair, but I thought I'd like to have a go at improving the fit because it's a pattern I'd like to make again. I've actually got some fabric already lined up that I'd like to use for a second pair. I bought some really nice stretch velvet fabric, also from Guthrie and Garney in a tan colour, which I think I shared in a video a couple of weeks ago. And that actually is the fabric that was used in the original Sewing Society kit, because Guthrie Garney released a Sewing Society kit for the Jali Eleonore trousers a while ago. And so I thought, you can't go wrong with the fabric from the kit. It's obviously a perfect match, and I like that fabric and thought it would make a nice second pair. But yeah, I wanted to hone the fit a little bit more before I started cutting into my second lot of fabric. Just because, as I said, the fit didn't feel great there. Everywhere else, it felt pretty okay. There were a few things I wanted to maybe tweak, but that was the main area that I wanted to change. So what I decided to do was I posted a picture of that area and how it was fitting in my stories on Instagram, and I asked people for advice on fitting adjustments that might help make it a little bit better there and reduce the excess fabric that was kind of sitting underneath the bum. And lots of people commented. People are always really helpful, I think, in the sewing community here and on Instagram, and a few people recommended a low seat adjustment. I had a look online about it, and basically it involves adjusting the crotch curve at the back of the trousers, and you basically scoop out a little bit more of the pattern piece to give a bit more room there. And I wasn't sure exactly how that would translate into helping the kind of excess fabric, but I thought, well, let's give it a go. So actually, when I bought this fabric originally for this pair of Eleonore trousers, I bought a bit of extra fabric because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to fit all the pattern pieces the right way on the amount of fabric the pattern recommended. And because it is a fabric that has a nap, I had to cut them all in the same direction. So I added a bit more fabric just to kind of give me a bit of flexibility on the cutting. But actually I found I was able to squeeze all the pattern pieces the right way up within the fabric recommendation by Jali, which is great. And then I had a bit of fabric left over, enough to make a bit of a toile of another pair of the Eleonore, just the shorts version, which I wasn't planning to be a wearable toile, but I thought it would just be great to have another go with the same fabric with a few adjustments and see if I could improve the fit there. So this is my little shorts pair here. They're not finished, as I said, I'm not intending to wear them. It was purely for fit. So I used some random threads and things on this one. It's not finished completely. I haven't overlocked or anything like that. So here they are, and they look very similar, but I did make a few adjustments. Firstly, I did make that flat seat adjustment, and I scooped out about 1.5 centimetres extra down there on the back crotch. I also decided when I was looking at pictures of the back about the placement of the pockets. I wasn't sure the placement or the shape of the pockets was the most flattering. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I'd borrow a pattern piece from a different pattern, my pocket pattern piece, from this pattern here, the Ginger Jeans pattern by Closet Core. So I made a pair of ginger jeans a long time ago. They don't fit, now they barely fit at the time. They were a bit too tight. I think the fabric I used wasn't stretchy enough, or maybe I went for the wrong size, or a combination. But I did really like the sort of shape and look of the sort of bottom area on that pattern. So I thought, well, why don't I take that pocket, since I know I like how it looks, and pop them on the Eleonore trousers. So that's what I did. The pocket has a slightly different shape to it with a bit of a curve on one side. I just thought it just seemed flattering. So I thought I'd give that a go. So that's one change I made, as well as the flat seat adjustment. I also decided that when I made my first pair of Eleonore trousers, I was worried about them sitting too low on my hips. I'm not sure exactly where they're supposed to sit with their mid-rise, but I wanted them to sit a bit higher, which is how I wear my skinny jeans, usually a bit higher waisted. So I did add a bit of extra, depth there, both on the front pattern piece, and then on the back, which I split between the back pattern piece and the yoke. But actually, I think it ended up a bit almost too high-waisted. It felt like it was cutting in a bit high, so I just reduced it back down again to somewhere in between the original pattern pieces and my first version, just to bring it up slightly, but not as far. I think those are the main adjustments. Oh, the other thing I did was actually angle the pockets slightly differently. I found they were sort of sitting at too much of an angle up, and I wanted them a bit flatter, so I just tilted them slightly down, and I also brought them in slightly more. Just a few little tweaks just to see if I could get a more flattering behind that fit better. So yeah, after all those tweaks, I'm pretty pleased actually. I'll show you the original picture again just so you can see what the first version looks like, and then I'll switch it over for my new version. And I think it has improved things. There still is a little bit of wrinkling underneath the bottom, but I think on a fairly tight pair of trousers, I'll always get a little bit of that just because there is the bottom shape and it goes a bit more flat down my leg, and it's never going to be perfect there. But I feel like now a lot more comfortable with how it looks there. I think the pocket placement looks better. I like where the waistline's sitting. So yeah, I'm really pleased I took the time to make those adjustments, and actually it didn't take too long to whip up this second version. So yeah, I think I'm pretty happy with that now. Actually, on that piece you might see the pockets, if the pockets don't look right, it's because I tried a different amount of angling on each one. So on one side, I think I dropped it down by 1 centimetre at this end, and the other side I dropped it down by 2 centimetres, just so they sit in slightly different angles, because I wasn't sure which would be best, so I thought I'd do one of each. And actually, when I had a look at my husband, he preferred one of them and I preferred the other, so I think what I'm going to do is just maybe drop them down on those edges by 1.5 centimetres, so somewhere in the middle, and I think that'll be fine. And yeah, I'm looking forward now to going ahead and making my second version in the stretch velvet. I do know that it's a slightly different fabric to the needle cord, so it might look a little bit different because it might have a just slightly different sort of qualities or characteristics about it when it's sewn up, but it does feel a similar amount stretchy and a fairly similar weight, so I'm hoping it'll be fairly equivalent and I can go with the adjusted pattern pieces and fingers crossed for a better fit second time round. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to giving them another go now. And actually I really enjoyed the whole process of having a play around with these little toile shorts. It just felt quite satisfying to be kind of almost problem solving, and it was quite fun trying a new adjustment. I hadn't come across a low seat adjustment before, so yeah, I was really grateful to people on Instagram who recommended that. Yeah, it just worked like a treat, I think. I really do feel it has improved things. Oh, the only other thing I think also I'm going to adjust on my second pair of the Eleonore trousers is I'm just going to add an itty bit more length to the legs, because I think my first pair are an absolutely fine length, but I did have to make the actual hem a little bit smaller to get it to the right length. I think in the pattern you're supposed to fold once and then fold twice, but I end up overlocking the bottom there and then just folding once to kind of keep a bit of the extra length, because they were only just the right length, I thought. So yeah, I think I had a little bit extra length this time round, just so I've got a bit more to play with there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to showing you my tan version when I've finished them. I do appreciate they're not totally seasonal for here in the UK right now because it is very warm, and they feel more like autumnal trousers, particularly in a tan colour. It'll be nice to have them done while it's all fresh in my mind what I've been doing, so then I can enjoy wearing them, and I'll share them with you as soon as they're done. But yeah, it was a lot of fun actually, having a little bit of a play with a pattern like that. It's nice, I think, to have a bit of a mix of quite straightforward projects like the knickers and the t-shirt where I don't need to think about it too much, and definitely don't need to think about a sizing, and then things that do require a little bit more, just a little more thinking and playing around with and experimenting. So yeah. Anyway, I'll link the fabric down below if it's still available. I think I mentioned that in the pattern too. But yeah, I'd really recommend the Eleonore pull-on jeans if you are looking for having a go at that style of fitted sort of trousers. They are super comfy because they're in stretch. And I just think, yeah, they come together really nicely. Another thing to mention, a bit like the style out pattern, the instructions are on the concise side, and they're kind of built into the pattern pieces. It's a bit of an unusual thing. You get this one big piece here which has all the sizings on it, also details the pattern and also the instructions all in it, so you kind of have to follow it round. But they're really clear and easy to follow still, just not maybe as wordy as some patterns out there. So yeah, I'll report back in the future once I've finished my new pair, and yeah, hopefully feel a bit more comfortable, that it's a bit more flattering on that sort of rear area. So that brings me to the end of this video. So thank you so much for joining me, and I hope you've enjoyed catching up on what I've been up to. And I hope you're all enjoying some lovely sewing projects at the moment too, and I've got a bit of time for doing something creative, whether it's sewing for summer or winter or something in between. And I look forward to seeing you for another video very soon. So thank you again for watching, and yeah, I'll see you very soon. Bye.